Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on customizing the ribbon. Now, fresh off the back of the last tutorial where we looked at adding buttons to our toolbar at the top to trigger the macros that we have created, we're now going to look at adding buttons to this ribbon below it. Not as quick with its access as the toolbar at the top, working this tabular structure, but the main benefit being its size of the ribbon. It's a lot larger, more potential to personalise it and to add more functions to it as to the slightly smaller toolbar. Now, to do this, I'm going to right mouse click anywhere on that ribbon and go into customise the ribbon. This is probably the fastest way of getting into this customise area. And it's probably worth mentioning that you cannot customise the ribbon in versions prior to 2010. Functionality came out in 2010. In older versions, you may be able to create your own toolbars and definitely add buttons to the toolbar like the previous tutorial, but you cannot modify the ribbon at a basic level. Not without VBA anyway. So, going into from 2010 plus, we're going to customise the ribbon. And on the right hand side, we can see the tabs currently visible and they are checked. What we're going to do is look at adding our own tab to this. Now, you are a little bit restricted to what you're allowed to do. They don't allow you to kind of remove functions from current groups or do too much to existing groups. So, for example, in the dialog box and in the ribbon in the background here, we can see that the Home tab has this clipboard group and this font group, and you're a little bit restricted to what you're allowed to do to them. You see, you're not allowed to do much to their features, they're all ghosted out and so forth. But you are allowed to add your own groups to them tabs, and you're allowed to create your own tabs, and that's what we're going to look at doing. I'm going to select the Home tab in this right hand side and click New Tab at the bottom to create my own tab just after that. Now, the only reason I've selected Home is so that my tab would appear one after Home. I can always use these arrows on the right to reorder them tabs into the way that I deem appropriate. If I want it to be the first tab on there, I can make it be so. And probably more importantly, I can rename them. If you have New Tab, I don't think you're going to be happy with it being named like that. I'm going to select it, click Rename at the bottom, and name it as Macros. So I've got my own tab for all of the macros that I've generated. I'm then going to select my new group and rename that as well. They start you off with one group. Protecting data. We can add our own groups to this, but we can also rename what we have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select my macros tab and go for the new group button at the bottom as well. I'm going to add in one more group and rename them. Now, we can add as many groups in as we want, depending on the space that we have on that ribbon. I'm going to name this Reporting Tools. Just trying to provide meaningful names where we can logically group, in this scenario, the macros that we've created. I'm now going to select my Protecting Data group. And in this kind of middle section, I'm going to choose macros, just like we did on the previous tutorial from the drop down list at the top there. And I'm going to hunt out the macro that I want and add it across to the group that's currently selected, which is Protecting Data. And also, just like the previous tutorial, we can change the image that's visible and also the name. This time we'll do it by selecting the macro and choosing Rename at the bottom. And once again, I can call this Protect Cells with Formulas or some other kind of meaningful name and choose hopefully a meaningful image. I'm going for the hand this time, palming people away. You cannot change that cell, it has a formula in. I'm going to click OK and I have my new looking button. Now, I know I've named this tab Macros, and I could rename it if I wanted to be fussy here, but just for a quick example, you know, it doesn't have to be macros only that you add to this. We're on a macros or a VBA course here, so that's going to be our primary objective. But Excel's got loads of built-in features. You're certainly not just limited to that. Why would you want to limit yourself to that? There's loads built in that we could just go and use. So just scanning down my list here, thinking, oh, you know, what could I use? I want to try and grab some of a feature that sort of says protection. Where am I going? I've gone straight past protection. What's my alphabet like? I've got protect sheet. Let's throw protect workbook in there. Protect workbook. I'm going to add that across. Oh, let's publish as PDF. That's a sort of protection sort of scenario. Surely PDFs are read only in most cases. Yeah, and then reporting tools, I can add more macros, etc. Let's just add one more thing in there. Let's just throw in a print area, just so we've got something in that group. So I've got my macro in there, which I've renamed for a different icon. I've also thrown in some inbuilt features as well. Now I've got all commands selected at the moment, so you know, a huge list. Great potential for personalising stuff. Creating your macros that we'll be doing throughout this course. You know, the world is your oyster. I'm going to click OK at the bottom to save them changes, close the box, and I have a macros tab on the ribbon just at the top there before home. There's my macro. I've also got the others that I added. I've got the protect workbook button, the print area button in these groups. Huge amount of space for more there. More potential maybe on the ribbon here, although not quite as fast to access. You have to go to the tab first. Is it protected? It's not. Let's quickly give our macro a go. Let's click that hand. Done. Sheet protected. An alternative way of triggering our macro there by customizing the ribbon.